Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the Big D Coin Channel. It's DC on the Big D with the 1970 Lincoln 1-cent coin, the Lincoln penny. And we can see right here at the top it says, "In God We Trust." The top of the coin. Down here on the left, on our left, it says Liberty. In front of Lincoln, slightly lower than his bow tie, it says 1970, and there is a mint mark there, and that's the S mint mark. And that's the one that's going to be real important to look for in the 1970s because of some special varieties. Over here to the right, we see there's also one with no mint mark. That's going to be the Philadelphia mint coin. And to the left here, we see there's one with a D mint mark, and that's the Denver mint coin. Denver Mint, in 1970, they made 2.9 billion of these. At the Philadelphia Mint, they made 1.9 billion. So 2.9 billion at Denver, 1.9 billion at Philly. And then at the San Francisco Mint, they didn't make quite as many. They made about 690,000. But when you add them all up together, we're talking about over 5 billion pennies came out in 1970. So there's a lot of them around. What's the deal with the S? Well, the San Francisco Mint coin right here has this kind of really nice S on it. And what they did was they kind of changed the date marker on there midstream. And they did one other thing, and we'll look for that also. But the first thing they did is they have a large date with a low 7 and a small date with a level 7. If you get the large date with the low 7, that's just a standard one, and you're going to have to get up to MS65 before you're going to get up to $15. If you get the small date with the level 7, then you're talking $30 for an extra fine 40 and $65 and more for an MS or Mint State 65. So what do we have here? Well, unfortunately for us, I guess, this is the small date here. But let's take a look at the different. We only want to look at the S's for these. Anyway, so this is what a generally regular circulating coin looks like. If we flip it way up here, we see that the 9 and the 7 are pretty much going straight across, and the 0 there. Now let's look at that again from this coin. This one's a little bit lower. Well, no, this is not. So this is the 1970 small date from the NGC website, and you can see up there at the top ngccoin.com/coin explorer. And then if you get in really closely, you can see that there is, it just doesn't go quite as far down here as ours. And when we get back to ours, you'll see that. So it kind of fits within this 0 range without going too far below. And you can see that the 9 does go below. So when we get back to ours, look at this 7, and you'll see how the other 7 comes further down. And this is NGC. You almost have to be an expert to see what a small 7, what a small date is. And you can see if we go to here, this one's rated as a small date 1 cent, proof 69 red ultra cameo. So this is a proof version of that coin, but it does have the small date on it. And of course the proof version is not going to be worth as much, but it's a good example of the small date, of a certified small date coin from NGC, the coin grading company. So what happens is we have both the S's here. The S's actually look a little different. We just have the large date. But there's one other thing we need to look for on this one, and this, having a really good variety coin, is really helpful. So we want to look for the double die obverse, or the front, which has a doubling in the coins. And we're just barely on the edge of enough magnification to do that with this camera. Some people like a lot more magnification to check this, but my feeling is if you can't see it with the naked eye, or you can't see it with this level of magnification, then perhaps the doubling isn't significant enough to make it worth any money. Not seeing any doubling here. Not a great punch of this coin, but it still looks okay. Down underneath here we see the V, the D, and the B for Victor David Brenner, the engraver of these coins. Now, one of the things that people ask is, when did the wheat ears end? Well, that was in the 50s. So if we look in the back of this one, we know we're going to have a Lincoln Memorial on the back, because that, in 1959, they came out with these pennies. It says United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum here, 1 cent here. Way down inside, you can see Lincoln sitting inside the Lincoln Monument, which is in Washington, D.C. And over here to the right, we can see an F and a G, and that's for Frank Gasparo, who was the engraver of these coins, and in 1959 came out with this design. Now, something about the D's on here. So this is a D from a uncirculated mint set, and this is the D from the regular set. For some reason, the uncirculated mint sets, you might see this, they have a less defined D in them. I'm not sure why. What happens with the uncirculated sets is they pull them out, and then they sent them all, I believe, to San Francisco. Denver sent some, Philly sent some, and then San Francisco had their own, and they put them together in San Francisco. So if you look at the 1970 uncirculated mint set, the Denver is always, or almost always, going to be like a really weak kind of D, and this is a circulating coin. It's a much stronger D, and you can see that it's stronger, and it's also lasted through a much more of a beating than this coin has ever had. All right, well, that's all we have today from Big D Coins. This is DC saying please subscribe to the Big D Coin channel and leave any comments you might have in the comments section.